The Black community has had many historical encounters worth highlighting over the past century. You can't count all the memorials and important events celebrated and observed in the Black community yearly. The Black Wall Street is one of the parts of history of the Black community that has significant importance. Despite its huge significance, a lot of people didn't know about the history of Black Wall Street until a depiction of the events of that era were depicted in two HBO fictional series, Lovecraft Country and Watchmen. Regardless of the fact that few people know about the Black Wall Street history, it doesn't erase the reality of what happened. The Black Wall Street was a name tag for a part of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the early 20th century that was saturated with Black people alone. All was well and good with Black people thriving till 1921, when a false rape accusation destroyed the years of success that went into the development of Black Wall Street. But what exactly happened to the arena of thriving Black people that early in the U.S.? Tulsa, Oklahoma was one of the places in the U.S. where many Black people served as enslaved people for years. As time went on, a lot of Black Americans got the chance to settle more in Oklahoma. When the oil boom happened, the segregation of Oklahoma couldn't even stop Black people from becoming successful in Tulsa. Tulsa's oil increase served as an attraction for different commercial sectors and industries. Trust Black people to take advantage of this opportunity. The late 19th century, as a result of this oil boom, allowed Black Americans to buy land and build homes for themselves. This was how O.W. Gurley, a Black entrepreneur, decided to take advantage, and in the process, he founded Greenwood, which we know as Black Wall Street. O.W. Gurley was a former postal worker and teacher that grew up in Arkansas. After running a business in the South for a number of years, he realized that it was better to move away to find opportunities he truly deserved. So he moved to Perry in Oklahoma and opened a general store, making it easier for Black people to shop despite segregation. In Perry, he was the principal of a local school along with the store he ran successfully for over a decade. Being so close to Tulsa, he saw the possible opportunities he could get as a Black person in Tulsa. So he sold his store, packed his bags, and moved on to Tulsa. Gurley bought 40 acres of land in Tulsa in 1906. At this time, the area became what we know as Greenwood District. Gurley aimed to create a place where Black people could thrive, so he decided to sell the lands he purchased only to Black people. He started the path by opening the first store, his grocery store, in Tulsa. Taking advantage of Tulsa's economic growth, Gurley created Greenwood as a community run by Black American entrepreneurs. Was Gurley's goal successful? Of course it was. Why else would Greenwood District be called Black Wall Street? The lands that Gurley sold were purchased by Black entrepreneurs who went on to develop various enterprises and businesses in the area. In collaboration with Gurley, these entrepreneurs went on to develop Greenwood into a place that became very significant in Oklahoma. The success of Black Wall Street was a shock to its surrounding communities. Black Wall Street grew fast alongside Tulsa as the developments were improving. The economy of the Black-run community was so impressive with its growth that it caught the attention of so many Black leaders across the U.S. Booker T. Washington was one of them. He was the first person to name it Negro Wall Street during his visit to the district. Over time, the name changed to Black Wall Street. Although a lot of people attribute the success of Black Wall Street to Gurley, he only served as a pace setter for the wonders that emanated from the district. There were other entrepreneurs that created successful businesses. One of them was J.B. Stratford, who built the first hotel in Greenwood District. Many sources say that this hotel was the finest in the whole of Tulsa, even compared it to its white counterparts. The Stratford Hotel was so successful, it was reported as the largest Black-owned and operated hotel in America with its 54 rooms. Another successful entrepreneur was Andre Smitherman, a lawyer who created and ran one of Tulsa's most prominent Black-owned newspapers, known as the Tulsa Star. John and Lula Williams built the Dreamland Theater of Tulsa, a 750-seat movie theater, alongside owning a candy shop. There were so many entrepreneurs. The reason Black Wall Street thrived so well was due to its provision of a Black-run economy, saving them from segregation. The inability of Black Americans to get a part of the white-dominated economy required them to build their own, which is what called for Black Wall Street. The racial segregation of the Jim Crow era made it practically impossible for Black citizens to buy goods and services from most establishments owned by white people. So, what better way to survive than create their businesses? The thriving economy wasn't the only good thing about Black Wall Street. There was a close-knit community of Black people who were willing to see and help each other grow. The district had its public library, hospital, an impressive school system that educated Black children just like the chances white children got. So, by 1921, Greenwood District was a center of Black wealth and one of the richest Black communities in the U.S., which isn't surprising. With 10,000 residents, Black Wall Street wasn't a utopia, as there were poor Black people living in the community. However, the district provided a safe community for Black people living there. This success went on and on until the 1st of June, 1921. The fall of Black Wall Street began to build in May 1921, starting with a misinterpreted interaction between a young white woman, Sarah Page, and a young African-American shoe shiner, Dick Rowland. There are many versions of the story depicting what happened between these two people. However, there are certain consistent elements in all the stories. Sarah Page was an elevator operator, and Dick Rowland rode in the elevator she was operating on that particular day. There are no clear descriptions of what exactly happened in the elevator. However, the general perception is that Rowland accidentally had bodily contact with Page one way or another, which caused her to scream. This scream is what attracted other people around who had different interpretations of the event. The witnesses called the police, who ended up arresting Dick Rowland on the 31st of May, 1921. While the issue was still in the works, the Tulsa Tribune newspaper published an article that falsely stated that Rowland had assaulted Page. This article incited a lot of rumors, with false claims that he had raped the woman circulating the most. These rumors ended up inciting so many white people who were already jealous of the success of the Black people in the Greenwood district. Dick Rowland was taken to court on the same day he was arrested. The strong sense of community in the Tulsa Black community made them decide to stand for his protection, as they feared that Rowland would get lynched by an angry white mob after receiving death threats, which was a common occurrence during the Jim Crow era. The people of Black Wall Street gathered in front of the city's courthouse. Sadly, this activated the horror that spanned over the following hours. In the course of this solitary stance, a confrontation broke out between the white and Black groups that were at the courthouse. These two groups had a disagreement, and in the process, both parties fired shots as they were armed. It was after this incident that the Black residents went back to their safe space, Greenwood District. However, a group of white vigilantes didn't let them have breathing space. They started what we know now as the Tulsa Race Massacre. These white vigilantes started attacking different Black people in Tulsa. By the morning of the 1st of June, this group of white vigilantes had increased to over 1,000 white people who went on to Black Wall Street, attacking and shooting all the residents. The white mob, faking their anger on the alleged assault, was actually charged with envy of the success of the Black neighborhood. I mean, they were thinking, how can Black people be so successful? This envy led them to loot and burn the homes and successful businesses of the residents of the Greenwood District. This mob went on causing damage to unsuspecting residents who tried to defend themselves but were outgunned. Surviving eyewitnesses reported that the white mob had different weapons, including machine guns and fire bombs dropped from private planes all over the community. This mob went on for hours until the morning of the 1st of June, when troops from the National Guard arrived in the neighborhood. However, the white mob had already done the damage by this time. At the end of the Tulsa Race Massacre, over 1,200 homes were burned, which rendered most of the 10,000 residents of Greenwood District homeless. Over 6,000 Black people were forced to live in internment camps for a while after the massacre. A shocking part of this event was that the National Guard only arrested Black people when they came into the scene. Yes, they ignored the white people as they arrested Black people. After the massacre, rebuilding the Greenwood District was a huge struggle. The government promised to reimburse the residents of the district. However, these promises went unfulfilled for years, despite the request. However, There were black residents that were dedicated to rebuilding Greenwood District as they couldn't imagine themselves anywhere else. These residents started the rebuild immediately after the massacre. By 1925, the Greenwood District was already almost back to its former glory, boasting over 200 black-owned businesses. In 1942, Black Wall Street was already fully on its path to getting back to its former glory. However, the Black Wall Street never quite went back to its former glory. As it was getting close to its peak, integration and civil rights movements came along, causing black people to no longer spend their money in black-owned businesses. The Black Wall Street, famous for its success, then declined completely for the second time. Black people have encountered a lot of tragic events in the past, and Black Wall Street and the Tulsa Race Massacre are one of them.